Guys, welcome to the Michael Lenoci show. It's been a minute, but I'm excited to come back. I mean, how could I not record an episode after watching Jimmy Butler's performance tonight, which was unbelievable. I'm a longtime Heat fan. I mostly, obviously, talk about the Miami Dolphins, but you guys obviously, look at the picture behind me of Dwayne Wade, which might need to be replaced. Joking, obviously. It would take a lot to have that replaced. And it would take a lot of years to have that replaced. But Jimmy Butler is definitely close to being one of my favorite South Florida athletes of all time. I mean, he's in my top 5, obviously, which we could go into, but we don't even have to because that's not even what this episode's about. It's about what we just saw last night. That Jimmy Butler performance, I think, arguably goes down in one of the top 5 greatest playoff performances ever in one single game. And off the top of my head, the last time I've seen something that great was actually in the finals, in the bubble with Jimmy Butler when he against the Lakers. I think he put up some crazy game. I think he scored like 40 or something like that. But it was just unbelievable. I was literally in my underwear jumping up and down on my couch. I had never seen anything like. First of all, we lost control of the game. I think we were down by like 11 with like less than 3 or 4 minutes to go, or maybe. I'm not exactly sure. I would have to look at it. Bringing it up here, we have I don't have the breakdown of exactly what was the difference there, but oh my God. It was literally unbelievable. So, summary says right here, there it is. They were up after the first quarter. Milwaukee's winning. Second quarter, Milwaukee's still up. They had the big lead. Third quarter, they beat us in every quarter. That fourth quarter, 41 points to their 25, and that was the 5-point lead. There was only 2 lead changes in the whole game. That's kind of crazy. That's probably the biggest factor of why this is one of the greatest performances in playoff history, because I don't know when Jordan scores 63, right? I don't know what that was. Like, were they was it a blowout? Like, I don't have those stats on me. Maybe you guys would know better. But when you look at this game and you saw that it was pretty much out of hand until I think it's Caleb Martin hits that 3 in the corner, and it kind of keeps us back in the game, right? And then Jimmy, that was the last time someone else scored. Jimmy just scores like the final 15 points or something like that. NBA.com sucks as far as I want the box score. I'm trying to bring it up here, guys. I have the box score, but it's not giving me a breakdown of what each player had going into each quarter. But regardless, I had never seen anything that crazy. And if I'm bringing up, look at this. Jimmy Butler has the most points in Heat playoff game history with 56, right? We know that's a fact. The next closest game was LeBron James, 49. Right? And then the third is Jimmy Butler in 2022. That was last year. Jimmy Butler put up 47. And we lost. Right? No, we lost. It was, what was last year was the game he missed the 3, and we could have went to the finals. I believe that was in that series. 527. Yeah. 47. Before that, Dwayne Wade, 2010, 46. Butler, 45, 419. James, 2012. Dwayne Wade, 2006. Wade, 2006. Those are both finals. In the finals, he put up 2 40-point games, Dwayne Wade. That's pretty fucking crazy to think about that. Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler last year in the playoffs, Jesus Christ, I didn't even realize this. Last year, Jimmy Butler in the playoffs, because this is all 2022, 5-17-22 puts up 41. All right. Then he has 419 2022. That's probably the first round. Puts up 45. I forget who that was against. Jimmy Butler 527 in 2022 puts up 47. That was against the Celtics. Jimmy Butler 5'8 2022 40 points. This motherfucker only scores at least 40 points in most of his playoff games. This is actually unbelievable. And here's the bubble one. 8/31/2020. That's why the dates are off. So I'm confused about like what when was that? That was during the finals. It was the 10 October 4th, 2020. That had to have been the finals against the Lakers. He put up the 40 points. And earlier in that playoffs, it was 8/31/2020. That's in the bubble. He put up 40 points. That's probably the first round or something. And then you have Hero was in the finals, that 37-point game, and that was 9/23/2020. James with 37, 37, 38. There's a lot of, but the only 40-point games are from Wade, James, and Butler all the way across. And Butler has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 40-point playoff games. Butler has 7 40-point playoff games. Dwayne Wade has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Butler and Wade have 7, and LeBron James has 1, 2, 3. LeBron James in that 4-year span only had 3 40-point playoff games. But he didn't need to ever go off. He probably had a lot more with the Cavs. I think those teams were not as stacked. But Wade has 7. Butler has 7. And a lot of Wade's came without LeBron. I think Wade only has 1. He has 2, 3. Only 3 of his 7 were with the LeBron teams, which makes more sense that he did it during his era without LeBron because he was the only one on the team. But listen, if I'm going to be realistic, first of all, playoff basketball it makes you think, why do we even have a season? Like, it should be a 40-game season, and that is the time period for everyone to figure out their rosters. There's no trade deadline. This is how I would run the NBA. Just from what I've been watching, this first round of playoffs has been some of the more exciting basketball I've seen in a long, long time. And there's 2 reasons before I go off topic. One is because I think it's so competitive and it's up for grabs. Nobody can for sure say this team's going to win the champ. Like, before this started, I was saying Milwaukee versus the Suns. Milwaukee, could Denver maybe get in? Could Memphis maybe? The West was so wide open. I put a bet in. I said Lakers. Once I saw the Lakers at the end of the year and they started winning and I saw the squad they had and their defense was great, I was like, all right, Milwaukee versus Lakers, Milwaukee versus Suns. Maybe Denver can figure it out, but it's so up for grabs. But for sure, anyone could upset anyone. Leaning more towards the Suns. Even the Clippers at one point before their injuries. Now, you're sitting here and the number 1 seed's down 3-1 to the 8th seed. And I got to think, let's not get out. This is why it's so entertaining. It's because it's up for grabs. And it hasn't been like that. If you go back outside of last year, I thought last year was kind of like we all kind of knew the Warriors were going to win, but it still felt like it wasn't for sure. And then the year before that, you had the Suns versus Bucks. We were all rooting for the Bucks. It looked like the Suns were going to win. They won the first 2. Bucks win 4 in a row. It was kind of an up for grabs year. It seemed like the Bucks were the best team. I think they took out the Heat in the first round. And then the bubble year was the Lakers versus Heat. Before that, it was just kind of like the Warriors and LeBron and the Cavs forever, right? It was like those teams. Before LeBron goes to LA, it's just like everybody's like, it's going to be the Cavs and Warriors every year. Or it was going to be the Heat and whoever every year. It was for 4 years of the Heat, and then you had 4 years of the Cavs. So it was 8 years in a row. You just knew LeBron was coming out of the East, and you knew that it was most likely going to be the Warriors, which it was for 4, 5, 6 years in a row, basically, for the Warriors. Outside of one injury year when Toronto beats them. So now it seems like the league is at a point where it is going to be like this for a while. I think we're going to have a window where it's going to be super competitive and you don't know what's going to happen or there's not going to be like a dynasty run, because I think that, maybe the Warriors could figure out something and get another ring, but LeBron, it seems like the window is closing right here for him. And then you have the young studs who are going to dominate the league for a few more years, for at least 5, 6 more years, like Giannis. But he's going to need more help, obviously. And then what's going to happen with Luka, and what's going to happen with Tatum, and what's going to be going on in Phoenix? How long is that going to last with Durant? What other young stars? You have Anthony Edwards. That guy is going to be a superstar. Does he stay in Minnesota? So, where do these superstars go? Do they all team up? So, unless they do, there's no dynasty. So, my whole thing is you go back and you get a 40-game season. You figure out the teams. There's no trade deadline, so somebody can trade last minute if they want. You could spread those 40 games over 3 months or something. And you could even make it a playoff season. It is a playoff season, but maybe even add, you have the play-in, but the play-in is with the 10 teams, and those are best out of 3. It's not just single elimination, so you're adding more games. It's just way more. You could see how players elevate even more in the playoffs. I mean, this is unheard of. I mean, you're just watching. Why is Butler going to play this hard during the season? For what? When he knows he can just keep his body and maintain it to be able to play this hard until they get to the playoffs. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this. He's not even the same style player as Jordan, but to put up this many 40-point games, I didn't realize it was 7. And we're talking about in the last 3 years. And this is what's crazy. It's 3-1. I think Milwaukee's going to come out strong and win game 5, right? You got to assume that. Then you go back to Miami, and you think they could close it out. That's 1 game. You got Spoelstra, and you got Butler. That's enough confidence for me. I don't even need Hero. Hero was fine. But he's out. I don't think that's a big deal, especially if Duncan keeps playing like that. But I'm just saying right now, if the Heat close this out, let me just tell you this right now. Milwaukee can easily come back. If there's a team that's going to come back from 3 of 1, it's LeBron's Cavs, and it could be this guy. Giannis is the only other guy that I think could do it. If somebody else can come back from 3 games to 1, it's this guy. So I'm not fully sold on the series over, but I think Butler is going to consistently play this hard and do it again. We're talking about the level of competitive greatness is as good as Jordan and Kobe. That's how high this guy elevates. Miami wins, hypothetically. They play 4-5, which looks like it's going to be the Knicks right now, right? Knicks are up 2-1. But whoever it is, let's say it's the Cavs or Knicks, I'm not worried about them if we could take down. I mean, Milwaukee's deep. Milwaukee's a deep team. They got a good squad. Way better than the Knicks or Cavs. And then you have the Celtics versus Sixers. And if you're a Heat fan, you're rooting for the 76ers. You're rooting for the 76ers because I think that although Embiid, nobody's going to be able to guard him, I think that that's the series I would want to see. I think Boston's a little too deep, and there's too many players to guard there. I think at least with Milwaukee, there's something about their number 2 and 3 guys that aren't as good as Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown. I mean, they get those 2 alone. I mean, I wouldn't say they have a big 3. They have a big 2 surrounded by a lot of other good defensive player of the year, Marcus Smart. You have Al Horford, Robbie Williams, I think it is. They're deep. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. But I got to think Miami is going to go on a historic run again. Could it be a Laker Heat matchup again? Could the Heat pull off a 2003 Marlins? Now, I don't know if a lot of you guys are old enough to remember that, but it was a wild card team that kind of snuck into the playoffs with an old coach, Jack McKinnon, and a bunch of young players that just clicked at the right moment. And I think a lot of Heat fans were frustrated this year being like, man, nobody else can kind of get in their groove and play well. Bam's been frustrating. But we all internally knew, we didn't say out loud that like, oh, all we have to do is get in and anything's possible. We kind of all wanted to just get in and maybe try to get that 6th seed. We wanted to get the 6th seed, and we were like, listen, if we play Philly, we have a chance in the first round. We don't want to really play Boston or Milwaukee in the first round. Otherwise, we're most likely going to get stomped out. We were all thinking that, but we all knew that we would play better in the playoffs. And now you're seeing it with Jimmy. How do you not believe? How do you not believe? If this guy can put up 56 in a game that he knew he had to win, I think everybody knew if it goes 2-2 back to Milwaukee, the series is over. They're going to go up 3-2. Even if we stole Game 6, they win Game 7. The only way we win this series is if we win this game, and Jimmy Butler knew that. And he played the best game of his life. He solidified himself as a Hall of Famer today. Just from that performance, he's a Hall of Famer. I mean, he already has the accolades to arguably be a Hall of Famer eventually. He's done quite a bit, but he would need a little bit, a couple more years of playing, get another All-Star, rack up some more stats, probably like maybe not first bid, but he was headed for the Hall of Fame. His playoff performances in the last 3 years are arguably it's a historic run, and it's unbelievable. And he's outperformed Dwayne Wade already. I mean, Dwayne Wade won a finals MVP. He had those 2 40-point games. So there you go. We can't argue that. Those 2 40-point games. But you know what? Man. Well, Dwayne Wade had a historic 2006 playoff. He did in 2005 as well. But Jimmy Butler, man. This guy, 47 last year. He had 47 last year. 45 last year. 45 and 47 last year. Both against the Celtics? No, not both against the Celtics, but here it is. Jimmy Butler, 47 points. And that was against the Celtics. LeBron James's Celtic performance, that infamous game to take him to the finals when they were down 3-2 to win Game 6. He scores 45. That was an unbelievable performance. You could argue that would be the second, I want to say the second best one, Or would you argue, Dwayne Wade's, where is it? Dwayne Wade against Dallas in the 2011. Well, they didn't win that championship, so no. Tyler Hero's 37 was against the Celtics in the bubble series. I'm pretty sure. I thought Tyler Hero had a crazy game against the Lakers. I thought he put on a crazy, but I must be misunderstood there. But here it is. Dwayne Wade's back-to-back games, 42 and 43 in the finals. That's unbelievable. 2 40-point games in the finals. That's unbelievable. So you could argue that one of those is probably they win that series, I think 4-2. So that's the thing. It's not as epic. That LeBron James game against the Celtics is really epic. Butler's other 40-point game was against the Atlanta Hawks, and that was last year when we got bounced in the first round against the Hawks because he went on that run, Trey. But I'm sorry, that wasn't last year. I thought that was 2 years ago when we got bounced out early in 2021. 2022, we went to the Eastern Conference Finals, and that's where Butler put up 47. And I think that was the game. Is that the? I wish it told me what game that was, because when did he put up 47? Was that the game where he misses the three at the end of the game? That would have gave us the lead. That would have been epic. Imagine if he hits that. Whew, so close. There's Jimmy Butler's finals performance. He puts up 40. 40 against Philly. 40 against Milwaukee. I mean, I've never seen anything like that. That's pretty fucking epic, dude. Pretty fucking epic. Yeah, I mean, that was just something I definitely had to talk about. And just overall, the NBA playoffs have been awesome to watch and exciting. And it's not, I don't see myself doing a bunch of episodes on here, but really I wanted to come on here and talk about how, we have the draft coming up. And another big news, it's official that Aaron Rodgers is a New York Jet. So, talking to some Dolphin fans, I think it's hitting them, it's coming to reality for them. Like, oh, it happened, so now are you a little worried as a Dolphin fan? Are you a little bit worried? Let's assume this. Let's assume Tua doesn't get hurt. Let's say Tua plays all 17 games. Are you sure we're better than the Jets? Obviously, there's more famous players on the Dolphins, but are we better than the Jets? That's the problem with fans. The Miami Dolphins have a lot more famous players, but does it mean you're better than the Jets? You better hope so. Assuming Tua plays 17 games, do we beat them? Do we split? You got to assume you split with the Jets. You split with the Bills. I don't know what's happened in New England, but I feel like it's going to be very bad. It's going to be very bad for New England. I see a New England team that is going to have one of the most frustrating seasons that they have had since before Tom Brady, and it's well-deserved. Fuck off. But I don't think the Jets could be as bad as the Green Bay Packers were last year. Realistically thinking, can the Jets go 8-9 or 9-8? They went 7-10, right? You got to think Aaron Rodgers is worth 2 wins, so that puts him at 9-8. You got to think that that's a way better team he has in New York than he did in Green Bay. The Jets got to be a 10-win team. But then you think so does Miami. If Tua's healthy. If Tua's not healthy, they could lose as many as you want them to lose. That defense is better score a lot of points. Is Mike White the answer? We know what that. You know what it's going to be. It worked out for a little bit in New York, but he's not going to be any different from Brissett or Bridgewater. I didn't like the backup ad with that. I wanted someone that was like, oh, fine, he'll go to Miami because he's competing for a job maybe, even though we knew nobody would be, because you got to run with Tua one more time. But as a backup, you're like, all right, Mike White, what is he going to run the ball to who? Like, our running backs are fine unless there's rumors about Delvin Cook or Joe Mixon. Maybe for a year you're going all in. I don't know. You're going all in this year, obviously. But then you got the Bills, and there's something in the air that feels like the Bills are going to take a step back, right? Am I making this up? Doesn't the energy feel like the Bills had a cool 3-year run where they're like the favorites, and maybe now this year they're going to have like a step back, still be a playoff team, but maybe they only win like 11 games, right? They're not as dominant. So then you have a tight race in our division, and it's like 11-6, 11-6, 10-7 race between Jets, Bills, and Dolphins. Maybe. But even that, one of them can't make, all three of us can't make the playoffs. You can't all three make the playoffs and then have the Jags win their division and no one else in that division, no Colts, no Texans, no Titans, And then that's one team there. And then you have the Bengals only make it. You mean the Ravens aren't going to make it now with OBJ and Lamar? Lamar's going back to Baltimore. So you got Lamar and the Bengals. And then you have Watson in Cleveland? You got Watson in Cleveland. So you got three. Their division's just as fucking crazy. And we haven't even got to the West. You have the Bengals. You have the Ravens. You have the Browns. Then you have the Steelers, who with a rookie quarterback went 8-9 or 9-8. They went 9-8. Tomlin still never had a losing season. So you have the Steelers, Ravens, Bengals, Browns. You have the Jags by themselves. We think the Titans take a step back again. It looks like they're trying to trade Tannehill, and they're rebuilding. Right? Texans rebuilding. Colts rebuilding. So you got the Jags alone. You got our whole division. You better hope the Pats are not even competitive. Let's say that they're the weak link in that. You say the Pittsburgh's the weak link. Both teams could magically, let's say the Pats or Steelers made the playoffs next year. Would you be like shocked? You wouldn't be shocked. You'd be like, well, that's the system. That's the system. The Patriots can do that. The Steelers can do it. That's all you would say. You'd be like, you wouldn't be shocked, right? So, and then you have the West. You have the Chiefs. Automatic playoff. They're going to make the playoffs. I don't care if they take a step back. They're making the playoffs, even if it's a wild card. They're in the playoffs. So you got that's a spot gone. And then you have the Chargers. They bring in a new offensive coordinator, supposedly a very good one from Dallas, okay? So is this going to be an improved team? If not, if they tank, then all of a sudden, what kind of disaster would have to happen for the Chargers to not be a playoff team or even be in the playoff race at winning 9 games? So then who's taking the dip in the West? You got to assume, all right, well, are the Raiders going to have a really bad year with Garoppolo? I mean, how bad can it be? Can it be worse than it was last year? It can't be worse. Garoppolo's chemistry with McDaniels is that's why they have him there. They work with each other. They know what's going to happen. They're going to win more games than they won last year. And the Broncos can't do worse with Sean Payton. They went 5-12. They can't go 5-12 again. They can't go 4-13. That's not going to happen. They're going to win again. They're going to win even more. Let's say the Broncos aren't as good. So fine, they go 8-9. Where are they getting these 8 wins from? It has to be distributed out somewhere. So a lot of people in the AFC East are going to be shocked. Here's the thing. Last year I said, okay, the West is stacked. You have Russell, Mahomes, Herbert, and Carr. I said this all along. I said it to all my friends. I go, listen, of those 4 teams, one of them is going to be like, holy shit, this did not go the way we thought. This is a complete shock. And I said one of them is going to be like short from the playoffs. It turned out 2 teams were like, holy shit, this didn't go the way we thought. Raiders and Broncos, right? And that kind of made room for the Dolphins to get in. So now you're asking for 2 teams in the West to be like, holy shit, that did not go right. And then you're asking for 2 teams in the North to be totally shocked and go, what? That didn't work at all. And then you're asking for 2 more teams in our division, the East, to go, holy shit, that didn't work out. So you're to think, listen, there's 16 teams in the conference. You're telling me 6 of them are going to be completely shocked. It has to happen that way. And it could be the Dolphins. The Dolphins could start the year and go 1-4, and they end the year 7-10. If they went 7-10, you would be like, holy shit, I'm shocked. Listen, if they went 7-10, that means Tua went down, right? That's what you would assume. But if they went 7-10 and Tua went down, you'd be like, all right, well, Tua went down. So, of course, they went 7-10. But let's say Tua played healthy and they went 7-10 or 6-11. As a fan, you would be shocked. You'd be like, this didn't work out. There's problems in the locker room. McDaniel isn't the answer. Shit like that would be coming out. You wouldn't be shocked if the Patriots took a step back. Would you be shocked if the Jets went 7-10 or 6-11? I would be shocked. I'd be shocked if the Dolphins, Jets, or Bills won less than 8 games. That's what I'm saying. That's shocking. That's shocking. If any of those 3 teams win less than 8 games, that's shocking. If the Bengals, Ravens, or Browns win less than 7 games, that's shocking. And if the Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, or Raiders, if 2 of those 4 teams lose less than 7 games, that's shocking. And guess what? Statistically, it has to happen. So we're going to be shocked next year. It's going to be a fucking mess for 6 teams if you want your team to make the playoffs. You get 4 division winners and 3 wild cards. And right now, there's literally only 4 teams. You would say Houston, Indianapolis, and Tennessee. I'm out. They're out. Right? And then you could argue those are 3 teams out of the 16, so 13 teams competing for 7 playoff spots. And then you could say Steelers and Patriots, the weakest of the 13. Right? The weakest of the 13 left. So now that leaves us to 11 teams fighting for 7 spots. So that means 11, 10, 9, 8. 4 teams are going to just be very disappointed and maybe fire a coach or just be like, your job was to make the playoffs. You didn't, so you're out. And you hope of those 4 teams, it's the Broncos, the Browns or Ravens, the Jets, and maybe the Chargers. You know, like it's just like, what's it going to be if you're a Dolphins fan? And then we have the draft, and in the second round of the draft, I think maybe I'll do another episode pre-draft, maybe have a friend on here, but we got to see who we're going to pick up. Is it going to be an interior lineman or a tackle, or we go to tight end? We still got to fill our tight end hole. We need a tight end that blocks, but can also maybe catch. And, you know, what are we doing with the line? We got Connor Williams, we got Robert Hunt, we got Teron Armstead. Then we signed a guy, and then we signed another center guy. Maybe Connor moves to the outside. Get rid of Austin Jackson. Liam Eichenberg. No, we're not going to. They should be backups. So let's see what happens there. Secondary looks very exciting. I think I saw Eric Rowe is not going to be with the team. So you know, you have Javon Holland and who else? And you have Brandon Jones coming back. Fine. You got your secondary set. Nick Needham comes back, your slot guy. You got your linebackers. They picked up that one linebacker. I'm sorry, I forgot his name, but, you know, let's see what happens, man. Same running backs we're doing it. Wide receiver core is a little bit more exciting this year. I don't know what's going to happen with Cedric Wilson, but I like Burrows. I loved him as a special teams guy. Don't have to worry about that. I think we didn't have that person last year, so let me know what you guys think. Thank you if you watched. Thank you for liking, subscribe to this channel. Comment what you think. It helps my algorithm. I appreciate all the viewers, and I want to grow this channel and put more time into this now that football season's kind of getting back into it. But, man, basketball season's awesome, and I didn't think I would be doing any episodes about basketball season because I thought basically the Heat would just get bounced out early, and now here I am, pumped and excited. So this is going to be a fun few months when, you know, usually this is a slow time for us because we're like, football season's not here. We have to do the draft and then wait around. Hopefully the Heat can entertain us through June, and then all we have to do in July is sit around and watch baseball and pretend to enjoy it and watch the home run derby and act like we enjoy it, but at least there will be more news. And then August gets here and we got the preseason. So it's right around the corner already. You know, we're about to enter May and we got 3 more months, 90 days before we really feel like we're back in football season. So let's hang in there and hope the Heat can carry us there. And we'll see you guys later. Thank you for watching. Good night.